Here we have Jake going breaststroke. And right now, as we see him starting up on the block, the one thing I would like to see him do is actually move that back foot over to that direction a little bit more. Yes, that was a line, an arrow there. There should be a line that kind of goes straight down the middle of the block. You want to make sure you've got the one foot right there, and then the other foot will be on the other side of that line. That'll help give you a little bit quicker start. The other thing I'd like to see is your foot is pretty much flat right back there. You want to make sure that you're planting that foot pretty much at the back of the block. You're getting a lot taller, you're going to be able to utilize a lot more space. If you were to have used the red blocks that are brand new here at Carthage, you'd actually be able to really utilize a lot more space. That'll help get you out there a little bit further. So we'll get you moving a little bit further forward here. Getting good extension on those arms out in front. What I can tell right now is right about there where you're hitting the water, there is a non-existent streamline. Make sure you're getting those legs or those arms and hands into that streamline position. Make sure you're locking down with those hands. That way you can actually hit the water in a streamline position and maintain that speed you've created off the block. Get you moving forward a little bit more. Pretty good pull out. I can tell kind of right here, we're going to actually be able to see a little bit better. Your head's up a little bit, you're kind of seeing where you need to go. Make sure you maintain that neutral head position so that your spine is nice and straight. The other thing I'd like to see is you're probably getting into that pull just a touch too soon. Make sure you're actually starting that pull just before you slow down. And then the same is going to hold true with your kick. Make sure you get that kick in, again, just before you slow down. And then pretty much at that point in time, you're going to hit the surface swing. Get you going forward a little bit more here. And kind of as we look at the timing, I'm going to slow you down a little bit more. You've got a much lower breaststroke, and typically what we see with your lower breaststrokers are those who kick much later. So what you're going to end up doing, and I would like to see, is actually shoot your arms forward and then get your kick to happen just a little bit later. If you're going to have the current timing that you've got right now, what I would typically see is somebody comes up a much higher stroke out of the water and ends up really kind of diving and having that butterfly feel. As we go through that turn, I can see you're touching right here, and you're kind of pulling in a looping position, the direction that way. We want to make sure that you're coming in that direction, you're coming straight back out that same direction. That's going to happen by really driving those knees up straight underneath you, and then just kind of following that back wall up towards the ceiling and then drop underneath the water. Get you moving forward here a little bit more. Good push off the wall. Same thing on that pull out. Make sure you're waiting just a little bit longer. You're still moving pretty quick, so you're rushing things just a little bit. And the other thing I'd like to see is as your head goes underneath the water, you tend to kind of stop yourself. Really utilize that ability to get underneath the water and kind of stretch things out. That's where if we get that kick to happen a little bit later in that stroke, you're going to be able to actually press on your chest when you're in this position a lot more, which will help get that head underneath the water and actually give you kind of more of a wave-like motion as we go through here. And we want to see breaststroke kind of swum like butterfly these days. That just kind of helps keep things moving in a forward direction. You don't end up coming straight up and then drop down, straight up and then drop down. We want to make sure that you keep things moving in a very fluid-like motion. Get you moving a little bit quicker here. I can really tell that your arms and your legs are pretty much right on top of one another right now. So we definitely want to work on trying to get that kick to happen just a little bit later, so then you can utilize all your strength that you've got going on. Awesome finish right there, getting a good lunge. You're finishing full stroke right there. Nice job, Jake. Here we have Jake's breaststroke underwater, getting a really good pull out right there. Big thing we notice, that head position. Make sure you're keeping that head in that neutral position. Keep that head down. You don't need to worry about seeing where the surface is. Okay, as we look through here, he's lifting that head up. Okay, as you're swimming breaststroke, your eyes should be pretty much focused on the bottom of the pool the entire time and a little bit up in front. The one good thing we're seeing, good turnout on those palms right there as you're on your out sweep. What I'd like to see you do is, instead of pulling those elbows back as far as you are right there. I want you to think about trying to keep those arms out in front. Simply just sweep out and then try and sweep those forearms together, get those elbows together. That way you're going to be able to really get a good pop out of that stroke, and that's going to be able to help you get a little more lift out of that stroke. And as we kind of look at the timing as you're going through, you're really rushing the stroke. Same thing as what I've seen on your freestyle is you're really getting into that next stroke, and we need to be a little bit more patient. As we look at that underwater pull out underneath, you're getting into that pull a little quick. I'd like to see you be a little bit more patient with that. Your hands are actually being really aggressive. Got a quick hand speed. I think as we go through that out sweep, you can actually press out even further than what you are. But the other thing is, I'd like to see you actually try and keep your hands a little bit higher, closer to the surface. That way you're going to be able to grab a little bit stronger. Where you're at right now, you're pretty deep, and you end up losing a little bit of length to that stroke. So try and grab just a touch higher, not by much though. As we see you moving forward, you've got great foot speed. Just work on trying to get those feet turned out. And the other thing I noticed during our kick set on Tuesday is that you don't always finish that kick right here. Make sure those feet are always coming together. You're in a pretty good spot right there, but always try and get the soles of your feet together. That way you know you finished that kick. And we'll want you to finish out the breaststroke here. The other thing we kind of noticed is that you're kicking a lot of air. That's what all of those bubbles are right there. So we want to make sure we're trying to get those heels just a little deeper in the water as you're kicking for that breaststroke. Nice job, Jake.